But I like it. I mean, Flower Moon, in that same vein of what I was saying, it's a good time to lean into power.
In the full moon, that's
in the flower moon, because it's a time of growth and transformation and
I'm about it.
Might as well. If it's gonna make me feel weird, I might as well lean into it.
Yeah, we're gonna read for the Philosophy Book Club. We're gonna read Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. Have you read that?
Oh, it's one of my favorite books of all time.
Really?
I love it. It's literally one of my favorite books of all time.
It is?
Like maybe top 2.
Because I'm trying to find my personal legend with with the show. Yeah. So it just made sense. We were looking for a new book, but I did not want to dive into another huge, like, year-long book.
Yeah.
The first book took us a year. It was our anniversary.
Yeah.
1 year anniversary.
Is relatively short, right?
It is.
Yeah, I'm like, it's a quick read.
It'll be one.
And also, it's an easy read, meaning it's not. I mean, like, there's some really good books. Like, I don't know why I need to say this book. What is that book? Like, The Body Keeps the Score. That is like a hard
Basil
book to get through.
Yeah. Read it.
Well, I don't want to say hard. It's heavy and sciencey and all that.
Mm-hmm.
The Alchemist is a easy read. Like, it's entertaining and, I don't know, at least for my brain.
Well, it's like a story.
Yeah, it's a story.
It's a hero's journey. It's like it's a Joseph Campbell hero's journey tale of Santiago leaving Spain.
I'm inspired. Maybe I'll read that again this week.
It's pretty cool. I enjoyed it. I read it. I read a graphic novel. Would you say read it or like saw the pictures of whatever? I did a graphic novel of it, and then I watched a bunch of reviews of people, like, what they thought.
Interesting.
The main points
a graphic novel, like a comic book, kind of like format?
They had a comic book for it.
Wild.
It was cool because I need it from a bunch of different angles.
Yeah. Well, no, it's fascinating because you know how when you read a book and then you watch a movie, you're like, that is not how I picture it in my head.
Yes.
Well, The Alchemist, like, I have this whole picture in my head that, like, if I picked up a graphic novel, I'd be like, that's not what it looked like.
Yeah. Well, it was definitely a male done graphic novel.
Okay.
Like, from the beginning, the narcissist story.
Yeah.
Like the ladies of the lake and the ladies of the forest, when they came together, they all were like, they were male drawn.
Yeah, fair.
They were like,
you're like
ample,
voluptuous, and like very sexual being.
Very little clothing. It was just like, okay. I mean,
although their description is, a sexual being, but yeah, I can imagine that. That's funny.
I was just like, okay, that's what we're doing.
We're going.
That's what the rest of this is going to be like. It wasn't. I was just like, whoa.
But I also feel like, I don't know why my brain, when I think of like graphic novel, also probably overemphasizes that. It's kind of like an anime style. They tend to like over accentuate certain characteristics of people.
They can. I'm trying to find. Oh, there you are. Functional nutritionist, registered dietitian, personal trainer, and gut specialist. I'm just kind of getting to the thing. So when I introduce you again, I have the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a cool book, and I'm excited for it. Where I am in my life, being like kind of appropriate.
Yeah,
cool.
I feel that. So have you read the whole thing? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so, did you like it? I feel like you're like, yeah, okay.
I mean, I
feel like
it.
You seemed surprised when I was like, oh, it's one of my favorite books.
It's interesting. No, I think a lot of people love that book.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed it.
I think I like it because it's inspiring and motivating.
Yeah, it is. He gets beaten up at the end and then told to go back to where he came from to find the treasure, which is kind of, it's like the whole journey was the treasure.
Yeah.
The adventure was the treasure.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what I like about it.
What he learned along the way.
It's so easy to live in the past or the future and not as much in the present. Like, it's so easy.
Yeah.
So it's a good reminder of, like,
to live in the present moment.
Right here. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I'm excited to talk about that with the philosopher Grant Potts, because I think there's a lot of philosophy stuff in there.
Yeah.
And it'll just be fun.
Yeah.
Instead, because he didn't read it, he was a slacker for once. Normally I'm the slacker. I'm like, I only read half the chapter, dude. Let's just see what happens. But this time he didn't read it. So
I was like one of those kids in school that like sometimes would read things and then I'd like go find it. I'd buy the Cliff Notes, or find the movie and be like, I know. because I feel like you're probably the same way. And I don't genuinely describe myself as this in like a day-to-day thing, but for something like that, for school, for philosophy, I'm like, I can bullshit something from a general storyline, right? Like I get the concept of the philosophy of this and let's just roll with it. Then I can talk about that philosophy in all sorts of ways based off the book or not. You know?
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. So since he didn't read it, we weren't going to do it. We just pulled divination cards and talked about them.
I love it.
And
That's
then we
so cool.
then we did some other things, just like we made it up.
I love it.
Speaking of make it up, I know we want to go over your life story as part of this. And then I wanted to brainstorm with you how we spend some of the other time.
Okay.
So we definitely want to do life story because that's something we didn't do. And then I've got a hard stop I've got a meeting at 1, so I've got a hard stop at 1.
That's
probably
good,
a little bit before 1 because I got
that's really fine because I had a hard stop at 1:30 anyway, so that's fine.
So we're good on that. But that leaves us plenty of time.
And probably helps because I got some admin stuff I need to do for work too. So
that leaves us plenty of time.
Yeah.
One thing I thought could influence our discussion was a clip that I made of Jamie. You know Jamie Fugari? She's the one that referred me to you.
Yeah.
A clip I made from our talk. It didn't go viral, but it's gotten a lot more views than any of my other clips.
Not right now, but at the end or whatever. Remind me, I'm a space cadet, and so I don't even know how to like find your stuff.
Okay. I'll text you all that.
Yeah. You probably already did, but if you'll do it again, it'd be great.
But yes, I will. But of one that I did.
I was talking about this and somebody was like, oh, cool. Like, tell me. And I was like, I actually don't know. And I should know. So yeah.
Yeah.
Because I want to help. I would love to be a part of helping spread your story because I think it's cool.
Heck yeah.
And I want to be a part of that. So
yeah, dude. Definitely appreciate that. But one of the short clips I made, which wasn't about narcissism. We did Phil Phails at narcissism.
Yeah.
But in our opening talk, we were just kind of talking about diets and how we were messing around individually with nutrition and how we felt about health. And that clip titled "Why I'm Going Keto, Gluten Free." She was where is it? Anyway, it's gotten one of the most views of any of mine for the year I've done this. Like, it got 1,200 views in a very short amount of time. So I thought,
on what platform? Just out of curiosity.
On YouTube.
Okay.
Everything starts out on YouTube, and then I take whatever is exciting on YouTube. Well, the only thing that leaves YouTube really is the shorts.
Okay.
I mean, actually, that's not true. It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Podcasts, but I don't really check the metrics on any of those other ones because I don't know, they're a lot less.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, people just don't.
Yeah.
People aren't listening to things as much at least. So I thought, how do we harvest from that a discussion in order to like kind of meet what seems to be a niche?
What people like. Okay, so y'all were talking, So
she talked about a FODMAP diet.
Okay.
We talked about how I was doing keto. We talked about, let me see if I can find it so I can just read the description.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe we could come up with something about gut health. Maybe people are interested in gut health. Yeah. You're a gut specialist. Yeah. It seems to be in alignment. I think she was talking about healing her gut. Let me try to find this.
Yeah, I could talk for like days about gut stuff.
I think you could probably talk for days about anything.
That's probably true. So I was in Boulder not this weekend, the last weekend, which I just love. Have you been to Boulder? Do you know Boulder?
Yeah, I've been to Boulder.
Yeah, I love Boulder. And we had a tarot reader come. So I went with these girls from college, and we always do like a psychic medium or tarot reader, or like something in that realm. And I like sat down for my turn. I think I'm like, and she's like, what did she? She's like, well, you have fire energy, and she's like, and you're communicative or something like.
You've got fire energy and you're communicative. And she was real diplomatic with that part.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Communicative.
And like everybody laughed and they're like, yeah, that girl can talk for days. And I was like, wow. I'm like, yeah, actually I don't mind. It's fine.
So, anyway, we can do that. We can talk about gut. Okay. What I think we could try, talk about gut stuff. And what I'm wondering is, I wonder if we could do, let's brainstorm gut stuff talks. I wonder if we could do a list. I wonder about lists. For some reason, I think these people like lists.
Okay.
I wonder if there's like 5 things people could do today to improve their gut health. Would that be a list?
So
Or what would be a 5 things?
Let me like spitball when I think of gut, and then maybe we can figure out a list from this. Right? When I think of gut in general, like my first thing, and again, this is just where my brain goes. So I can narrow this down. This is me just thinking out loud.
Yeah.
So if I could do a GI map on every single client, I would. Right? It just gives me such a big insight to that. So that's my first thought, and just kind of like talking about some of that is one of the things I think of. The other thing I think of is. God, these are separate things, but like fiber is one thing I think of that people think of as being like helping them be regular, but there's so much more to fiber and like how it protects your gut. And so that's another thing I think of. Another thing I think of is like how the gut is the second brain. And so it influences so many things. Like people think of gut health, they think of like, gas and bloating and, like your bowel movements, but really it impacts your like skin and your mood and, and like brain fog and then like your brain. I mean, there's so many layers if your gut's imbalanced. And then, people can't burn fat and all of that. So that's another thing I think of is just like how powerful the gut is that people don't know.
The gut impacts your ability to burn fat?
Yes, because of how like well you're absorbing nutrients or not.
Is it equal to like insulin in the blood? Because I heard that if there's insulin in the blood, then your body's going to store fat versus burn it. Is it similar to that?
No, although there's a piece of that in that mix. But no, I think of it more in terms of if your gut is imbalanced or inflamed or a number of things, right? You have parasites or whatever, then you aren't going to be able to absorb your nutrients as well. So then the processes in your body aren't working as efficiently, like everything, right? You're not building muscle as well. You're not like your metabolism isn't working as quickly. And so your body is then protecting itself. It's like, okay, we don't have everything we need for our, liver to work as well and whatever. So it's not going to like decide to burn fat because it wants to protect itself and it wants to be as efficient as possible.
So the things I've got now are GI map being really helpful, fiber and a discussion about fiber, second brain and how it relates to food and fat burning and a lot of different things.
So
skin, fat burning.
But also a list could be too. So you're right. Like if we think about like, and I'd like to think about this a little bit but we think about like top 5 foods for the gut. Let's just say
foods for the gut.
Let's just say fiber, probiotics, prebiotics. Those 3. I'm sure there's more. I'm just like running through my brain here. Polyphenols.
One more.
I know. I'm digging in there. Water.
Water. Yeah. That's 5.
Yeah.
Foods for the gut. That's a list. What else? ACE. What else are gut related list things?
Oh, okay. So here's another thing that I think about that potentially we could work into a list. I think of like all the gut things that I got to form this thoughtfully here. All the reasons what I would say, we need to check your gut health. So,
indicators of
gut imbalance.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you. I needed another brain in that mix. Okay. So obvious ones are going to be like gas and bloating. Obviously not always, but diarrhea or constipation. And I already named these, but I think I like this title for it. I think of brain fog.
Hold on. The first one was gas and bloating. The second one was diarrhea.
And or constipation.
Constipation.
And I would say and or because those can alternate.
Brain fog.
and this is going to be more than 5. Skin issues, depression, and or anxiety. And then the last thing, if you are finding you're sensitive to a lot of foods and you end up cutting out a lot of foods.
Food sensitivity.
Ooh, I've got one more.
Okay.
Actually, feeling like overly full without a lot of food. Like you're like don't have room for a normal amount of food.
Okay. So I think what we'll do is, I like it. We've got a couple lists.
Yeah.
And I think that gives us a lot of stuff to discuss. And I like kind of
those last 2. I feel like are good, like, I mean, whatever. I mean, because a lot of the other stuff I could work into those lists, I feel like.
Right. The GI map, the fiber, the second brain. Yeah, you can work those in all those.
All those would work into those lists. I think
we could do 2 lists. And I think today we could just do Phil Phails at gut health.
Yeah.
Or is there another way to say gut health?
I mean, I kind of like that.
Gut feelings. Phil Phails at gut health is fine.
Yeah. Gut balance. Either one. Yeah.
Do you have a preference of gut health or gut balance?
I don't.
Gut health might be just a smaller word when it comes to doing all the graphics.
Yeah, fair. I totally get
it. All right, Phil Phails at gut health. We'll do a couple lists, and then we can just talk about, the gut.
Yeah.
Expand on our previous conversation about the gut. We can talk a little bit about where I am in my fitness journey and get any feedback from you. I could tell you about where I fit in some of these as a separate one. Like, what are my indicators? What's going on with me? Am I eating these foods?
Yeah.
Because I've been taking these pills, these probiotic pills, and then someone else gave me this like gut. I can go grab them in a second and like look at them. Because one thing I want to discuss is like, what is actually good for your gut versus what is a fad and is BS? Like a cleanse, like these like cleanses.
Ooh, yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like these like master cleanse. I mean, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
All these things that are designed to like fix your gut and help your gut. Does it work? Should people do them?
Yeah. Well, I'll say for a number of reasons, and I'll obviously say this on camera, but like I probably...
We're on camera right now.
No, I'm just saying. I probably won't speak like super poorly about...
Anything?
Yeah. Because who am I?
Something could work for somebody.
Yeah, it could work. And so I'm not going to say like something doesn't work. However, do I think it's an over cleanse of a world? Yeah. Like, do I think people jump to that? Or I think some of them actually wreck your gut microbiome, I think.
Yeah.
They might clean out, like, who knows? Somebody did one the other day who was like, oh, I felt like I had all these like tar and worms and everything that came out and whatever. And you're like, it's interesting. And I'm not saying that they didn't clean out things they didn't need in there, but I also wonder like of the like herbs they were drinking, how much was that like the herbs like congealing and just coming out? Like, how do you know? Like, whatever.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think like some of these people selling these cleanses, are they giving you these herb mixtures that like maybe they look like worms when they come out? This day and age, you never know, right?
Yeah, I agree. So we can talk about that a little bit, like strategies or things on the market that aren't necessary, that are like quick fixes, as opposed to like, hey, I'm gonna change my lifestyle to fix your gut, which is what I think.
One of the things that I could say is like, there's a lot out there that I don't know that I would lend somebody to, but I do have a cleanse or a detox that I take my clients through that I have done a lot of research on and that I like.
We can talk about that.
Better than, better than a lot of the other. There's so many out there, and I think there's not a lot of science behind a lot of them. Do a lot of them make people feel better? Sure.
So we can talk about your detox.
Yeah.
Like the protocol you put people through. That'd be dope. All right. Anything else? I think that gives us plenty.
I think that's a lot. And honestly, we'll have to cut back on all of that because we could talk about all those things.
I know you could forever. We'll be here till tomorrow. So I'm going to cut us short because I want to make sure we talk about your life story at least like 45 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So we'll have about an hour.
You lead me and shut me down or whatever.
It'll be hard to shut you down. I don't like shutting people down.
You ring lead.
I'll reel you in.
There we go. I like that better. Are those drumsticks? Quick thing of drumsticks?
a bunch of them.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got a drummer in your life?
No, I bought somebody drums once. I never used them, but I'm more of a bongo girl. But
I'm not a drummer. I got some bongos.
yeah,
in
I'm
the
more of
living room.
I love percussion. I could. I've just never taken time to like learn a lot of technique, but I think it's cool.
I should really donate these to the Buy Nothing group. I don't have a drum. I don't ever use these. They sit there.
But I love the idea of drumsticks, and I love the cool techniques. I've had somebody show me techniques before, and I think it's
Paradiddles.
fascinating. It's cool.
The paradiddles. Yeah. Okay. Anything else we need to talk about before we start?
No.
All right. Let me just get your thing again. So, okay. These two. Boop. All right. Let's clap.
Okay.
Ready? That's good. That's good. Welcome to Phil Phails. My name is Philip Jones, and today I have returning guest Ashley Eaves, RDN CPT. She's a functional nutritionist, registered dietitian, personal trainer, and gut specialist.
Woo.
Wave to everybody. Woo! And today, Phil Phails at Gut Health.
Yes.
We're going to talk about your gut. We're going to talk about our gut.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in learning about your gut and how to keep a healthy gut, or how to like know if you don't have a healthy gut,
Or how to heal your gut.
how to heal your gut,
Yeah.
this is a good video for you because you're a specialist in it. And
Yes.
you've been doing this for over 20 years.
I love it. Yeah. I would say, health and fitness and nutrition for 20 years. The gut has really been more in the last 5 years.
Okay.
Just not necessarily my journey with gut. It started well before that. And so I've learned things through trial and error, and then also just then finding so many people needing it that I dove in. I'm like, okay, let's like get the knowledge and find more out. And now I know so much more that I think everybody needs to know.
Yeah.
It's like the more you know, the more you find out you need to know.
Yeah.
Right?
And I released a video of talking about gut stuff with Jamie Figari, who's a therapist, and we were just talking about, our topic was narcissism, but our discussion about our guts was so popular. I'm like, dude, I've got a gut specialist. I'm
talk
excited
about
to
it.
release our previous talk. So you guys go back and find our previous talk where we go over the gut. We go over nutrition. We go over a lot of different things. Like we didn't even get to the life story, y'all, because we were just
Talking.
we were just talking so much about nutrition and health. Go back to that one, but this one's going to be a deep dive on the gut.
Yes.
Yeah. And we structured it a little bit. We're going to give you guys, we know internet people want lists. Well, we don't know that.
And it might just keep me in line.
Well, we got to keep her in line. So we're going to do a couple lists, but we're going to talk about everything pretty exclusive, pretty in depth. So one of the lists is going to be foods for the gut. Like, what does the gut like?
Yeah.
What's good for the gut? The next one is going to be indicators of gut imbalance. Like, what are things that tell you that your gut's unhealthy or that you would benefit from?
Maybe looking into it more or doing things differently than you are.
Yeah, making some changes.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about Ashley's proprietary colon detox regimen, right? We'll talk about how you guide your clients through gut health and gut detox and like how to get them back on track, which could be helpful. We'll also talk a little bit about all of the different products out there for people. There's a ton of stuff out there for people to help their gut.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder which ones are valid, which ones aren't. So we'll talk a little bit about that, probably without putting any of them down.
I think the market's just saturated with a lot of things. And so, do your research.
Which is indicator that people are interested in it.
Yeah.
People want to have a healthy gut.
And or needed or both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those are the things we're going to discuss. Foods for the gut, indicators of gut imbalance, Ashley's colon cleanse or colon detox protocol, and whatever else that comes up along the way, right?
wherever it leads us.
Wherever it leads us. So let's start with the first list, foods for the gut.
Okay.
Foods for the gut. We're we're going to talk first about, what's our first one?
Fiber. At least I think it was the first one. It will be our first one.
We're making whatever we say the first. Yeah, so fiber is, what is fiber? Doesn't everything have fiber?
No, everything doesn't have fiber. So yeah, I mean, fiber, you've got soluble fiber, insoluble fiber. So basically like whether it absorbs water or not and whether it creates bulk. So well, in theory, they both create bulk, but we need them both. And we don't need to go like super deep into soluble versus insoluble, but like generally speaking, we're creating bulk in the intestine. So I think most people think of fiber as what makes you regular, right? Which it's true. And I will say through the years, I would say most of my clients are like, yeah, that's it. That's what fiber, that's why we need fiber.
To be regular.
To be regular. To create bulk.
And when you say be regular, you mean to poop every day.
Correct.
To move things through
Yes.
your digestive system.
Correct. And also, again, well, I'll be mindful of this too, but even like what that looks like, like in terms of its, formation and whether that,
what your poop looks like, y'all. Hey, if you can't handle this discussion, go back and read the children's book, Everybody Poops. Start from there. And then when you've digested that, come back to this conversation because this is an adult conversation and everybody poops.
Everybody poops. So the amount of fiber, is important for that flow and that formation correctly.
Okay.
So we needed that. But I think one of the things that people don't know about fiber, so we have and this goes a little more into your gut. So we have our intestines. They're made of cells, and those cells are semi-permeable. So we want semi-permeable. So we want things flowing in and out of our intestines, and but only the things that we want flowing in and out of them. So our gut has protections to help protect the inside from the outside. One of those things are like how close the cells are together, like tight cell junctions. And these are kind of tied together. But another is we have this mucosal layer that goes around our intestine. Its job is to protect. And so we want to protect bigger molecules from coming in and out. So like I said, we want healthy bacteria in there, but we don't want pathogens and viruses and parasites and worms and all these things. So this mucosal layer helps protect against that. And what makes that mucosal layer thick and healthy?
Fiber.
So generally speaking, I think most people need 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day.
25 to 30 grams of fiber. What are good sources of fiber?
Generally speaking, you think fruits and vegetables, whole grains, nuts and seeds. That said, there are some that are more fibrous than others. For instance, if I have people having trouble getting enough fiber, like chia seeds. Like chia seeds are like the golden fiber.
Really?
That you just like get a really big bang for your buck. A lot of berries have fiber, but I mean, it's kind of bizarre, like which ones are higher in fiber or not. But whole grains are a good one. But that didn't work for everybody. Some people are gluten free, and so like you have to kind of figure out where that lies. But that doesn't mean And sometimes there's certain vegetables that you're like, like ate a lot of vegetables, and you're like, oh, okay, it was only like 3 grams of fiber. But I will say, for 25 grams. If you get around 5 grams, in a meal and a few grams in a snack, like you can get there. It's when people aren't getting any nuts and seeds or whole grains or fruits or vegetables. And it's just, like meats and bread products that maybe aren't whole, then we can miss that.
Yeah. Okay. Fiber's number one. An aside question about fiber is, how are these carnivore diet people getting fiber?
I think a lot of them aren't.
They're not.
Yeah. And so, I know a lot of people have great success with carnivore diet in terms how they feel, in terms of, gut health. Well, here's another interesting thing about fiber and gut health. If your gut is imbalanced, and of course that could mean a lot of things. So let's just say microbiome's imbalanced, or you have a parasite or an overgrowth, or, bacteria overgrowth or whatever. There's lots of things that can create imbalance. Often when it's imbalanced, then people can actually tolerate fiber less when it actually is also what they need. And maybe not all they need, right? There might be other things, again, depending on where the imbalance comes from. But so sometimes people do feel better without fiber, but that doesn't mean that their body doesn't need that and it wouldn't benefit them. So we'll say that. And I think also you have to be creative sometimes if you are on a more strict diet, like keto or carnivore. That doesn't mean you can't. It just means you need to figure out which high fiber foods fall into your diet.
Right.
And just make sure that you're being really intentional about it, I think is important. Like I said, for that gut protection, I think is really important. Now, you might feel better with less fiber, but then you potentially are also inviting more imbalance into your gut and or also lowering your immunity. Our gut, they call it a second brain for a lot of reasons, but like you get 80% of your immunity from your gut. So if your gut's imbalanced, you're more likely to be sick and get colds and get viruses. And there's layers to that too. But imbalance of gut often means a low immune system.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think about how we interact with the world, and it's like a part of it is our skin. Like that's a big part big way we interact with the world or are exposed to whatever. And that tends to be like mosquitoes or bugs or things like that want to get at us. Yeah. But then we also put a lot of stuff into our body. Yeah. It's like a donut, right? We just have this tube. And all the way through that tube is exposed to the outside world too. Sure. It's this membrane. It's much like the skin, but it's on the inside.
Shaking hands and viruses, right? Like we are exposed to, and oxygen. Like there's a lot of transference internally and externally.
Yeah. Yeah. So I never really, sometimes I overlook the value of that like internal,
that motility and process and intestinal process. And
and how that keeps you healthy. When it's healthy, you've got more, what'd you call it? You said 80% of your immunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what keeps you from getting sick when you're exposed to things.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's when you have that thick and healthy mucosal layer around the intestine, if it's thick and healthy, among other things, you want like good secretory IgA. You want that to be in the right balance too. That's like your immunoglobulins that protect against pathogens and viruses. So anyway, so there's a few different pieces to that. But then when you are exposed, which we are, you're shaking hands with people or you're getting fruit from the store or whatever. Maybe you forgot to wash the blueberries before you ate them or whatever. So pesticides or whatever, all these things that you're exposed to, the healthier your gut is. And this is so many layers. Healthier your brain is. Healthier your gut is, the healthier your brain is. Anyway, all of those things impact your body's ability to fight off viruses and pathogens and bacteria that we don't need and parasites and worms. And we don't get a lot of worms in the U.S., but it happens. Yeah.
Number 2. So that's number 1 is fiber. Number 2 and number 3, I get confused a lot, the two, and sometimes they combine them together. So you mentioned prebiotic and probiotic. Yeah. Which one do you want to make number 2? Yeah.
Well, I'll talk about them both. So they can both be number 2.
Okay.
Or however we want to do it. We can do them separately.
2 and 3 are prebiotic and probiotic.
Yeah. So I think of probiotics being bacteria, okay, and being healthy bacteria that we want in our gut. So probiotics are our commensal bacteria. So our healthy bacteria in our gut that we want in our gut. They are important. Most of them feed off of fiber. And so we need fiber to keep enough healthy probiotic in our diet. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can take probiotics, but it's not a direct correlation, meaning like you take lactobacillus and it goes through and suddenly you have more lactobacillus. It doesn't exactly work in that process, but nonetheless, it does still help create that balance of healthy bacteria. And so, like I said, that healthy bacteria influences like also how we're absorbing nutrients. It influences diarrhea and constipation, our motility. It can influence skin. It can influence our immunoglobulins and bactericidins. So like basically fighting off pathogens and viruses.
That's the
right?
immunity
So
part.
So that is a big piece of that. So that's those probiotics are really healthy for maintaining that balance and fighting things off and keeping the motility and absorbing your nutrients. Prebiotics are the precursors. It's basically the food for them. So I mean, obviously lots of things fall into this, but I often think of like onions and garlic are two of those. So like prebiotics are basically food for probiotics. So they're
Onion
precursors.
and garlic are the best ones.
Those are just the two most common that I like, jump to my brain.
Onions and garlic.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's prebiotics are the pre to
If you eat the pre, you'll get the pro.
yes.
Is that what
the
you're
pro.
saying?
I was trying to get to the pro. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The precursors to the probiotics.
Yeah. Or
Okay.
the food for them. Yeah. Absolutely. So that was 2 and or 3. But yeah, so I mean, all basically leading to those healthy bacteria. Yeah.
So the probiotics are the actual bacterias.
They are, yeah. And just, yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't really want to go through that whole process, but basically we need probiotic. They also, yeah, like I said, it's mostly helpful for the healthy bacteria, for the motility, and for like balancing off so that we can fight off the things we don't want in there.
Question that I have when I go to the store and look for probiotics is shelf stable, like the ones that are just on the shelf, room temperature, are those
as good
better
as
than or as good as the ones that are in the refrigerator?
I don't-
Because there's like refrigerator ones, there's shelf stable ones, there's like
I will say there's a lot of opinions about these, and I don't know that we have a like solid scientific answer behind that. My opinion, that I think a lot of other dietitians I know agree with me is, I don't know that there's necessarily a like this is better than that. I think it kind of depends on your own gut and what you need. So because every probiotic isn't the same, not only in quantity, like how
yeah, because
much
some of
is
them
in there,
this one has 10 million and this one has like a billion, and you're like, how many do I need?
Right.
It's kind of like an army. Like how many army warriors do I need to send out into that gut? Right.
Well,
Like,
it might depend on what your gut looks like, and so this is where I like.
maybe it's like the Peace Corps. It's probably more like the Peace
I
Corps.
think it's more like a Peace
How
Corps.
many peacekeepers do we need to send down there?
Right. But also, it depends on what's going on in there. So, like, depending if somebody's low in something, they might need more of something else, or depending on their motility, they might need more. So there are certain strains that are better for certain things, and that's like an endless list, right?
What does motility mean? You've used that a couple times.
Oh yeah.
and
So
I don't know what that means.
basically, how your food is moving through your esophagus and stomach and intestines. Not only the speed of that basically, but how it's moving through.
Okay.
And so obviously that can be slow with like constipation, or it could be really fast with diarrhea, or it can alternate back and forth. But yes, how things are flowing through the system.
So diarrhea and constipation are 2 examples of motility out of balance.
Correct.
Diarrhea is like too fast motility.
Correct.
And constipation is too slow motility. And just like with Buddhism and everything else, the Tao is saying we're looking for the middle path. We're looking for the middle path in our middle path.
Yes, absolutely. Right in the middle. Absolutely.
Okay, so precursor is all these things. We can't necessarily say cold is better than shelf, but
well, I mean, I probably lean toward the cold, but like I said, I don't know that matters, and it also depends on the strain. So it depends on the strain. I think that it depends on what your body needs as to like which strain it needs. Now, maybe you don't necessarily need. Maybe your body is like mostly balanced, but you're just trying to maintain health. Well, then it may not matter. And so, what I started to say earlier is, I'm kind of the impression if you don't have something specific that like you need this strain for this particular ailment or whatever the case may be, like just taking a probiotic, generally speaking, is good, and in any amount, right?
Yeah.
Like some is better than none. Basically, taking some is better than none. Now, I will say also, if your body's not used to that, so you can also get probiotics through food, right? Through yogurt.
Is this kimchi,
and you can also
yogurt,
get kimchi and sauerkraut and kombucha. You get those
pickles,
prebiotics and probiotics through foods, right? Or you can obviously take something. So, but if you're not getting any through any food, and your body's not used to it, and you go buy a random one from the store, and then you're like, oh, my belly's upset. Well, that's really common. Sometimes you have to, I don't know, sit with it for a while, right? Like sometimes your body has to get used to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are also some that are more gentle than others. So if you've never taken one and you don't think you get a lot of through foods, then maybe starting with something that's a little more gentle. And so, there are ones that can be a little more gentle, and sometimes you don't know. And so like, here we go. Let's figure it out.
Yeah, you're on the roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
And then for the prebiotics, those are the precursors to these bacteria.
Yeah,
and these
mostly,
are foods.
Yeah, I think of that mostly with getting through food.
What are a couple foods? Onions and garlic, you mentioned?
Onions and garlics, yeah. Well, and then I think a lot of the ones that you're getting, so like kimchi and sauerkraut are going to have both in there too. So
you pre and pro?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So all the fermented foods are going to have those.
Yeah.
Kombucha, perhaps.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. On
Yogurt.
Yeah.
Kimchi, sauerkraut.
Yeah.
Love sauerkraut.
I do too.
What else is
kimchi,
there?
but oh my god, sometimes it can be really strong.
Yeah, kimchi can be strong and spicy.
I
like it though.
I got one the other day that I was like, oh, that's like real fermented.
I think I want to make my own. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too long because we got so much to discuss, but I think I want to make my own sauerkraut.
Yeah.
I got a big mason jar. I now just need to find those little
cool.
burpers, those things that you put on top to let air out but not air in.
Yeah.
Because I watched a couple videos that were like, dude, it's mad cheap to make your own sauerkraut.
It's funny. I've considered making kimchi. I've never considered making sauerkraut, but we could share.
Like kimchi's a lot harder than sauerkraut.
Kimchi, yeah.
You make kimchi, I'll make sauerkraut, and then we'll share. Yeah, I've done kombucha before.
Yeah.
I used to have 2 batches of kombucha going at the same time, and I cycled them through. But once, I think through the seasons of the year, the fermentation time period changed, and I really wanted it to be static.
Yeah.
I wanted to be on this like path, and then eventually it got to where it was really vinegary.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just threw it out but I still have
trial and error.
I still have kombucha SCOBY in my fridge.
Oh.
So at any time we could just whip up some kombucha. All right, so that's 2 and 3 pre and probiotics.
Okay.
4.
What did we choose for 4?
I'll go back and look. I didn't know what this was.
Oh, polyphenols. So yeah, and it's another food for the gut, and for helping ultimately helping with protections and helping keep your gut balanced. So I think of berries and onions and garlic and cinnamon and turmeric and so I mean there's a long it's funny. I also think about this with like FODMAPs is that I feel like sometimes there's things that like I know what maybe not everybody, but like a low glycemic food makes sense. Ones that are like more sugary or not sugary, right? Like it kind of makes sense. Or I'll just keep it generic, like what a fruit is. I feel like when you get into like FODMAPs and polyphenols, it's all over the place. You're like, okay, we got like a fruit here and a vegetable there and just kind of like some random ones. But it's just some other, some nuts and seeds in there too. There's certain particular foods that help feed and balance those layers and protections in the gut.
What is a polyphenol? It's poly means multiple.
Yeah.
So what the heck's
and
a
anything,
phenol?
I don't know, like phenol. Well, an OL it typically ends in alcohol, so it has some sort of like
some alcohol.
I'll have to look that up
We'll
exactly what it is.
Yeah,
sorry about that.
But it's good for your gut.
It's good for your gut.
These polyphenols, and they come from foods that are like low glycemic index foods. Like I know that strawberry I know that strawberries, berries, all of those.
Yeah, they are
because I'm on keto, and those are the fruits that are allowed. That you can have, right? Allowed, right? I can have strawberries. I can do. Yeah.
I actually don't think polyphenols are related to low glycemic. But you're right. I think the ones that are in there happen to be low glycemic. And then cinnamon and turmeric and onions and garlic and nuts and seeds and anyway. So
berries. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. And number 5 was the thing.
Water.
The thing we all need.
Yes. And I like that one because, again, I'll use the word motility. Obviously, if you're not drinking enough water, then then your motility slows down. And I don't usually think of like doing too much water or speeding it up, but it can speed it up in terms of just urination, right? Like you're going to the bathroom in that regard, but not as much on the GI front. But it's just so important. Our body needs water for all the processes, and that also I would say 90% of my clients are low water drinkers. And it also just impacts how well your body burns fat and absorbs nutrients and, your skin health and how your brain thinks. And so, but specifically, I mostly think of like keeping that motility and keeping things. And part of that too is with constipation. If your waste is sitting in your gut versus being excreted, then your body can reabsorb that waste. And
Not
so,
good.
Yeah. So then we're reabsorbing waste, we're reabsorbing hormones and toxins that our body want to get rid of. So
yeah. I
Water.
thought of you. Did you go to like water parks when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Do you go now with your kiddos?
Yes.
Water parks?
Yeah, sometimes.
So like we got what's the one down
Like
there?
Schlitterbahn?
Schlitterbahn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought, as you were talking about this, I thought about a slide.
Without enough water.
Either one. Yeah, without enough water, you're like, this hurts my body. My skin is like getting scraped all the way down this thing. Is there another side? Is there too much water?
Yeah, I guess you go super fast down the slide.
Yeah, because if you're like in a tube of water, you like can't breathe.
Or
is
if it
there
has
that
an
for
edge,
the
you
gut?
go over the top. But yeah, I mean, I think more of being overhydrated, meaning, like I said before, like I think it more of impacting your urination. You can also, and this is like, you'd have to drink it lots and lots and lots, but you can actually flood your brain if you like way over drink
Oh my
water.
God.
Yeah, but I'm like, we don't need to go down
Most
that.
people probably don't have to worry about that. They'd have to legit.
Oh, it would be hard. It'd
I
be
think when
really
I was a
hard.
kid-
So please don't stress about that.
When I was a kid and I was trying to like pass drug tests, I'd be like drinking gallons of water.
Well, and that's actually what I think about sometimes if people, I mean, it's really hard. So don't stress about not drinking too much. I'd rather you drink water. Don't stress about that. But I do think about more likely with people who are on drugs because they're maybe extra thirsty. And so, and don't have that, conscious awareness of like what is an appropriate amount of water.
Yeah, if you're on drugs, y'all, first we're going to work on not being on drugs. Because I think your water intake might not be the lowest hanging fruit of health, right?
Isn't that the truth? The other thing I think of is like people being hungover, but also I think they're so dehydrated. It's like, again, please don't worry about flooding your brain. But that's where my brain goes of overhydrating is just like spending all day in the bathroom in that regard. Not usually in terms of diarrhea, because usually your body's going to pee it out, basically.
Yeah. Is there amounts that you like to see for men or women or weight? How do you?
There is, and I will say this is another highly debated topic, and a lot of people have opinions on that. I don't think that there is like only one way, but generally speaking, I think 90 ounces for a woman, and I think more around 120 for a man.
If you disagree with Ashley, put it in the comments.
Yeah.
We want to know.
Yeah.
Let's get the debate started. This is what Ashley believes. But I think what you said was, which probably seems true to me, it depends on you.
It does.
Everybody's different.
And also, like, you could have a 150-pound man, or you're going to have a 250-pound man. Like,
right?
They need different amounts of water.
And how much exercise you're doing every day. Are you sedentary, or are you running marathons on the daily? Like,
absolutely.
Those two people are going to need more or less water.
Absolutely. And so, like I said, I mean, that's just like generic. I think it's helpful for me just as a dietitian to have a generic starting place for clients of, okay, you're drinking 40 ounces. I want you to work toward 90. Yeah. But also, if you're exercising a lot every day, then, and so there's ways to match that. I mean, I think another one that people think about is like an ounce for every pound of body weight is what some people believe. And I think that can be on the high end. Of course, also I have people coming in who are drinking 30 ounces. And so I'm like, okay, let's less coffee, more water. Right? So
I think in my research, I found some places where they were like, drink a gallon of water a day.
Yeah. And so I think 128 is, I mean, and that is close to, for a man, a gallon is a pretty good amount for a man.
A gallon's 128 ounces?
I think so.
Okay.
Hopefully I'm right.
Yeah. We'll hear about it if you're not.
Right.
We'll hear about it. Okay, so that's pretty good. Okay, the list is complete.
The first list.
The first list is foods for the gut, and we got fiber, and we learned a lot about fiber, insoluble, soluble, how it impacts your mucosal layer. Yeah, baby. Wrote that one down. 2 and 3 were pre and probiotics. The pro is the healthy bacteria in their state, whatever, and then the pre is precursors to those healthy bacteria. The food for that, which you said onion and garlic. And then 4 was polyphenols, which were foods that helped with polyphenols or gave you polyphenols.
Yeah, they have polyphenols.
They have polyphenols.
Yeah, and so berries and grapes and spinach and nuts and onions and
turmeric and cinnamon. And garlic and onion once again. So you get kind of bang for your buck on 2 of these. You get polyphenols and prebiotics if you do onions and garlic.
Yeah.
Those are good. And then 5 was water.
Help that motility.
We learned about motility, which is the rate of food's movement through your digestive system.
And how foods move through it. Yeah.
How they move. Yeah.
Rate and how. Yeah, both of those. Yeah.
That's good. That's our first list. Next list is indicators of gut imbalance. How do you know when your gut is out of balance? How do you know when your gut is not supporting a healthy lifestyle?
Yeah.
Right?
So I went to a UT game with some friends a while back, and interestingly, people all in the health and wellness, and not that this is always the case, but 2 of these people were males and ended up the topic of conversation on the way to the game was on flatulence. And there was a lot of talk, and I was like, geez, there's a lot of talk. I was just laughing, poking at it, like a lot of talk about flatulence here. And they're like, geez, Ashley, everybody farts. And I'm like, well,
does everybody fart?
But
everybody poops.
But like,
does everybody fart?
I would say probably everybody, but I also think that if it's happening a lot, to me, red flag for gut imbalance.
Number 1 is flatulence.
Oh, well, and I'll put it together as gas and bloating. Which typically bloating is gas production, typically. So typically that bloating is coming from some gas in there. That doesn't mean that you're passing gas and burping necessarily, but typically that is often where that bloating is coming from. So gas and bloating, for it to be a daily, common occurrence for every meal, that is a sign that we might want to check your gut. So that's the first one, because generally speaking, there should not be. And that doesn't mean if you have a lot of beans or a lot of cruciferous vegetables, sure. So I think it is a natural process in the body for our body for there to be gas producing foods. But if most meals and all day that you are burping and having flatulence or having bloating.
So you're telling me that beans are good for the heart, but the more you eat them,
they just might make you fart.
The more you fart.
But not always the case. I actually truly believe that it also could just be an increase of fiber, right? So beans are very fibrous.
Yeah.
And so if you're not regularly eating a high amount of fiber and then you have this, 3-bean salad or something, then it probably is more fiber than your body's used to. It's also like water. Our bodies adjust to things. Fiber and water are two of the ones that I think are helpful to work up slowly, and then our body is able to utilize them at that level if we can work them up slowly. If you just jump up to high fiber, then it's more likely to have gas and bloating. So it's not to say there aren't things, or overeating a meal, like a Thanksgiving meal, and you eat more than there's really room for. Yeah, that could produce gas and bloating too. But that wouldn't be in every meal all day thing. And so if you are consistently getting a decent bit of gas and bloating, that's Like if it's not a special occasion, then that's a sign. That
What are
there's some gut imbalance.
cruciferous vegetables? Which ones are
So
those?
broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, or like kale. Yeah.
I eat those regularly.
Yeah.
But I also have
probably
gas
good.
kind of regularly
Yeah.
too. We're going to talk about GI tract. We're going to talk about GI tract maps
GI map.
at some point in this discussion, and I'm going to ask all my listeners to donate so that I can get one done. So that
Sorry, I'm choking on water.
Ashley can look at my GI tract. I'm doing this TV show, so I'm poor now. I'm frugal, but I'd love it if we could start a GoFundMe to pay for me to do a GI map.
Yes.
Because it's like $300, $500. If you've got an extra $300, $500 and want to see what my gut's like,
Yeah.
but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But gas and bloating is the number one indicator of imbalance in your health. First one we're talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. That's absolutely one of the main ones.
Will it happen because of like you're eating something that you shouldn't be eating? Like I often wonder, am I eating too much cheese, or will those things cause bloating and gas?
Yeah, so an excessive amount of any one food could potentially do it. Now, but if you're doing an excessive amount of that, kind of depends on what it is. But if you're doing, let's just say a cruciferous vegetable, you're doing like lots of broccoli. Well, ultimately, your body, assuming that it's not imbalanced, will probably adjust to it.
They'll adjust
to that higher fiber.
Because I've been doing cauliflower rice.
Yeah, I love it.
And broccoli. Pretty much with most meals, I'll either have like a zucchini, a cauliflower, or a broccoli.
Yeah.
With almost everyone.
Yeah.
And chia seeds every day, all day.
Yeah,
like
I
I
love
do
it.
chia seeds multiple times a day. I didn't realize they were so good.
They are.
But now I know.
And they're good for fiber. So yeah, gas and bloating. Number
two.
I think diarrhea, constipation, was that? I think that was.
We wrote
for
diarrhea
number
and
two.
constipation.
So.
Which is your motility, too fast motility and too slow motility.
Yeah. So I would say first thing, let's just if you're constipated, the first thing is to make sure you're drinking enough water, right? So like potentially that doesn't mean just because you're constipated doesn't mean you necessarily have a full imbalance or we need to do a GI map. But if you have regular diarrhea and or constipation, so some people can go in and out of them, like having some diarrhea and some constipation, like
really,
yeah. That especially if you're having both, it's for sure.
If you're like swinging from one to the other,
yeah. And your hydration isn't swinging with it, then yes, I would say that is a big sign. And there's lots of like bacteria overgrowths and imbalances that can lend toward one or the other or both.
Okay. Constipation. How many times should we be pooping every day?
1 to 3 is where
1 to 3, and that depends on how much you're eating. Probably.
It depends on how much you're eating. It depends on how much fiber you're eating, and obviously if you're drinking enough water to support how much fiber you're drinking and your food and waste. It also may depend a little on your toxin load and stuff like that. So like what you're surrounded. So like somebody who is exposed to a lot more toxins, their body might process that. Might have more to process.
Heck yeah.
Or depending on what they're eating, right? Like eating a lot more processed foods or fast foods, of course, will influence that. But I would say, generally speaking, if you think that you're eating a pretty balanced diet and you have a lot of constipation, a lot of diarrhea, or swinging from one to the other. Like
so constipation is not pooping in how long? Like if you haven't pooped in...
Well, constipation could be as simple as not having a smooth and easy bowel movement.
Oh, it's about the experience of the movement.
Experience. Or like, a lot of people describe it as like hard pellets. Or like you can tell that you need to have a bowel movement, but
the dryness of the poop, or like
the dryness of it.
If it's hurting your butt,
it feels like it's in there and it's not coming.
Your butthole hurts afterwards.
Potentially,
I'm just gonna say it. I don't know. I don't know if there's a YouTube word for that, but
or like pellets, right? Like
if you're like a rabbit.
If it's not like coming in a
in a log,
formed, soft and formed is what we want to go for.
Formed means like it's a tube.
Not forced.
It's a tube. Yeah, and you don't want to have to try too hard.
Yeah.
It needs to come out.
It should come out relatively easy.
Yep.
Soft and formed.
Okay. And then the other side is like
too soft.
It's too soft, too quick, and too soft.
Yeah.
Too
and
much
that doesn't
liquid.
mean all water either. Like I said, the ideal Sorry to talk about all the poop, guys.
We're talking poop.
Is soft and formed. Like that is ideal. Not a lot of effort, comes relatively easy. I would say anywhere from like 1 to 2 after each main meal. And it didn't have to directly after, but like generally speaking, 1 to 3 times a day is a good amount.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you're swinging from diarrhea to constipation or either one of these for too long, when do you know? Is diarrhea or constipation a normal part of life, or is anytime you experience one or other?
I'd say it's normal in terms of sickness or medication and so on. Well, I guess that's the other thing. Like if you know that like you're on a medication that like induces constipation, well, okay, different thing, right?
Yeah.
Although that also might mean that medication might influence your microbiome, so potentially, right? Or it is, right? Because we're constipated for a reason here.
Yeah.
But so I think there are things, and there's also foods that are more constipating. So like bananas, and actually can be a good thing. So if you're having diarrhea, you eat a banana, that can be helpful, right? But if you're eating like bananas all day long and you don't know why you're constipated, that might be why. So, so there are foods that can be helpful for that. But I would say generally speaking, so yeah, it's a normal part, but also, you can get a stomach bug. Well, diarrhea is a normal part of a stomach bug, right? So
your body's trying to get that out of there.
Yeah, so our bodies, ate bad fish or something like that. So it's a normal process in the body, or like, people who have anesthesia might be more likely to be constipated after, right? So there are and or like certain medications. So there are, I think it's a normal part of, I don't know, I'll say checks and balances of our body. But if you're living in that space, like not like a week I might have gotten a sickness or not I'm on a new medication, but like I don't understand like this, then it's probably worth checking out.
Yeah, you've got an imbalance. Number 3. You remember what it was?
What was number 3?
We said brain fog.
Yeah, brain fog. Again, so many things can lead to brain fog, right? I mean, like stress could lead to brain fog.
What the heck is brain fog?
That's a great question. Brain fog. I think of brain fog as you're not, well, for all my women out there, like pregnancy brain is brain fog. No, but.
Because I got ADHD. Sometimes I'll walk into a room and I'm like, why did I even come in here?
Right. Well,
like, what was I even doing?
Right. I got some.
Is it like too much of that?
It's like without of that. I think it's accessing knowledge that you have, right? So, and on a regular basis, I mean, I also agree. I can also walk in a room and be like, why am I here, right?
Yeah.
But it's more like you had your keys 2 seconds ago and maybe don't have 10,000 things on your brain, but you're like, or maybe you do, I don't know, but it's like, where did I put my keys? But yeah, it's like not being able to access the word. Of course, there's so many things that can lead to that, right? Like being stressed or too busy or too much on your plate or, whatever, or not enough sleep. Of course, there's lots of things that can lead to that.
Right.
And so I don't know that one by itself is one that I would like leave by itself, but I do think that especially in conjunction, and I'll even say maybe like brain fog and fatigue. I don't think that was on our list, so we could kind of lump those together. Yeah. That together is, maybe not like alone by itself. Oh, you have brain fog and fatigue. Like, let's do a GI map. However, if you're kind of trying to figure out like why my body doesn't quite feel good, I think a GI map is a beautiful place to start because the gut is so influential to so many parts of your body and how you feel, and your brain and all of that. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously, if you can afford it and you have lots of fatigue and brain fog, I would absolutely throw a GI map in there because I think there's a good piece of that in there. So, yeah. So basically your brain not working quite as well, right? So brain fog and fatigue can lean in that. It's just like, okay, like where did I put my keys? Like what did I bring my groceries in to the house? Like whatever. So that's what I think of as brain fog.
Well,
not full access to a well-functioning brain.
Does this lead us to that discussion about the brain, your gut being like your second brain?
I think it's a good time to think about that. So when your gut is imbalanced, and again, imbalance can be a bacteria overgrowth or like not enough of the healthy bacteria. It could be having a parasite. It could be having a pathogen. Like there's a lot of layers to what that can look like. But when your gut is imbalanced, it is very common for your brain not to work as well. It is our second brain because we're not able, when it's imbalanced, we're not able to absorb nutrients or all of our nutrients that we need for our processes to work. And our brain, we notice the most, right? Like it's our center of the everything. That's the command center.
Yeah.
And so when you're not getting enough water and nutrients and all of those things to the brain, then it's not functioning. Our synapses aren't firing as well. So more likely to have fatigue and brain fog. And it also more likely to have, depression and anxiety, same sort of thing. I mean, it all, that's what they call it, the second brain. It's tied together. And so like if someone is having a lot of depression and anxiety or brain fog, fatigue, like absolutely, please do a GI map.
Look at the gut.
Yeah, look at the gut.
I think about those detective movies where they have a gut feeling. Like the detective's like, I got a gut feeling. Or other people do. There's also the Malcolm Gladwell book, Blink, where he talks about how the body has an awareness of things before the brain does.
I love that.
And then I think about this documentary I saw about octopuses. They might be called octopi when there's one of them.
I think they are called octopi.
Octopi. How they have actually a brain in their head, but then they have brains in each tentacle.
Not wild.
And then I thought, well, maybe our gut is like one of the octopus's tentacles where our brain it's localized there as this big mass, but then it's also out in our body in different places. Yeah. And our gut would be a great place for it. Yeah. It's like that's where we're getting a lot of input from the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just like our blood flows through the body, like, even not in every place, like our gut flows through a lot of the body too. And so,
our gut flows through the body? What you talking about?
Well, just food, right? Goes through the esophagus and into the intestines, right? So it's like obviously not as extensive as like veins. But
the
I'm just saying it's still,
system.
Yeah, it's still going through a lot of the body and influences so much of it because like without food, like we're not our muscles aren't gonna work.
We have to have food.
Like our brain isn't gonna work.
It's the building block of our whole body and our brain and everything.
Yeah, it's the fuel, it's the gas.
You stop giving your body food.
Yeah,
water
our organs
and food,
start shutting down.
Everything's like no. That and like air. We need that. We need those three things, right? We need air, we need water, and we need food.
Yeah,
those three things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we got the brain fog / fatigue for number 3. Okay. Number 4, we said was depression and anxiety, which kind of lends ourselves to that discussion about the brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we kind of we blended 3 and 4. So yeah, absolutely. Like I said, like when, brain fog, fatigue would also, they're all influencing the brain. And so if you want to feel better that is a piece of the mix. It's like it's like when you go to a doctor, it's more so a functional medicine doctor, but like you go to a doctor and you're like, okay, my toe hurts and my ankle hurts and my shin hurts or whatever. And I'm being silly here, but like whatever, you're listing off the things where they're going to like put this picture together. Okay, well, if this, all right, so we have some depression and we have some brain fog and we have some gas and bloating. Well, okay, let's like, whatever. And again, that doesn't mean you also have gas and bloating. I would say like I have people who, and I don't remember if this was number 5, if I'm about to blend in number 5, but skin issues is another one that I think about. So if you have eczema,
that is skin issues.
Yeah. So if you have eczema, it's just another piece of when I'm looking at different symptoms, it tells a story. Our bodies tell a story. And so maybe by itself, of course, you could have depression by itself, but if you have depression or anxiety, I would check the gut. What if this is a relatively simple fix instead of antidepressants or instead of like, not that I would ever dissuade somebody from binging meditations, but if you're binging meditations to try to like feel functional because of your depression and anxiety or whatever, isn't it worth looking to see if you could just create some balance to the gut? And maybe that would
you say simple fix, but like food is so
tough.
Yeah, you're saying lifestyle pick. I want people to do it.
Yeah.
But I also want to acknowledge how challenging it can be to change those type of
100%.
Lifestyle
and I say that lightly, like because even fixing your gut is not easy, but not only like food, like let's just say you have an overgrowth, maybe obviously yes, how you're eating influences your gut health, right? But let's just say you're a good eater, like you feel really good, you're like I'm a healthy eater.
Yeah.
but your gut's imbalanced, maybe from the past, maybe from antibiotic use. I'll mention a list of some other things too, a quick list. But like maybe your gut is, I lost my train of thought. I don't know what I was saying.
We were talking about anxiety and depression and how it'd be easier to,
Yeah. So maybe you're eating really healthy, but your gut's imbalanced for any other number of reasons. And so then healing your gut might be taking certain herbs to like kill off the overgrowth. And so like I will say that also can be expensive. So that's the potentially easy if we can, kill some overgrowth or rebalance the gut, which may not be food, but I do think they all go together. I think you need diet. I think lifestyle is important, and then obviously treating what you find.
Right.
So on a quick tangent here before my brain forgets it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the things, the probably I don't know. I'm gonna rattle them off 3 to 5 things.
List within a list, y'all.
List within a list.
What's this list?
This list are the things that can create gut imbalance.
Okay.
So poor diet. Antibiotic use.
Antibiotics.
High stress.
High stress.
Is probably really number one.
Have you ever felt it?
Number one, honestly, number one. I find
stress.
High stress is probably one of the number one things that throw out gut balance. High toxin load.
High toxin load, is that like drugs and alcohol?
For sure, but not what I was thinking of, but absolutely. That's drugs and alcohol. It can also be products that you use on your hair and your face.
Ooh.
It could be breathing in exhaust. It could be living next to a power plant.
Okay.
Our bodies are made to detox naturally, but that can build up over time.
Okay.
Especially if you have gut imbalance already. So, and then medical conditions. So certain medical conditions can influence gut health. So like having celiac or Crohn's disease or whatever. And so, but yeah, I would say number one on there is stress. I already said number one on there is stress. Antibiotics, another one. So like if you've been through a lot and taken frequent antibiotics, it destroys your microbiome. And then, I listed all the others, but like then high toxin load, medical conditions. What was the other one I missed? I don't know.
Medical conditions. That's them.
Okay. Yeah. I was trying to rename the 5. So
yeah.
Okay.
That was list inception, y'all.
Blended it in. I snuck in a third list.
She snuck in another list, y'all. Okay, the next one for imbalance indicators was skin. You talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, I talked about it a little bit. So
is this eczema? It's rashes?
A lot of eczema. It could be acne.
Really?
For sure. Yeah, acne, eczema are probably two of them. I mean, even like psoriasis and rosacea and stuff like that. So like there's
really
any of that can
so folks are going to dermatologists when they might get as much value going to see a gut specialist
or both potentially. Absolutely. I mean, I know this is my area, but I would say if you can, then start with the gut because potentially that would clear everything up in and of itself.
And probably other things
gut
too.
And diet, right? Gut, diet, hydration, right? Oh yeah, and then would heal other things too. So I would say it's a good place to start, but maybe in the process you want to see a dermatologist to get some, instant relief potentially. Right. And also, of course, there's possibility to have other things. But like, so my son, for example, when he was born, he had terrible cradle cap, like really, really bad cradle cap, but he was cradle cap. I'm like, yeah, babies get cradle cap, right?
Yeah.
And then also like eczema on his face. Well then, and this is like, I'm talking like newborn, like few weeks old newborn, and I was breastfeeding, and then I thought there were bed bugs because he had these little red dots on his body, and I'm like,
my God.
I'm like, clean the room, fumigate it, there's bed bugs. Well, turns out hives on a little bitty baby look like these little bitty like ant bites.
Oh my God.
And so then, but as a dietitian, I'm like, okay, I literally just woke up and had 2 scrambled eggs, and that's all I ate. And then I breastfed him, and he broke out into these hives. So I was like,
allergic to eggs?
Let me cut out some eggs.
Yeah.
And so that cleared up the hives, but then the cradle cap and the eczema persisted. So then I cut out dairy. Cleared it up.
Wow. So you're changing your body. Your child was the indicator of his health, but would it be similar to your health too? Do you think you have
So interestingly, after he was born, I no longer tolerate dairy. So we did do tests, and he is allergic to dairy and eggs.
And you probably were all along just oblivious to it.
Yeah,
maybe.
and then no, that was him being no. I tolerated it fine before I gave birth to him, and then my body changed.
Another reason to hate your kids. You can no longer tolerate dairy. Kids, no, love your kids, y'all.
No, but it's fascinating how, food. So he's allergic to that, but like this can also happen just from sensitivity. So people can get, like eczema and stuff like that just from the body not tolerating, gluten or eggs or dairy. Gluten and eggs or dairy are probably like some of the 3 common ones that we notice skin issues with.
Okay, next number. I don't know what we're on. We're on number
I think we went through the
5.
numbers.
We got food sensitivity, which could be coupled with overly full with normal portion sizes.
Okay, so I was saying, you're right. Number 5 for reasons you might want to get your gut checked.
Yeah.
If you find that you are cutting out foods, maybe because of gas and bloating, or you don't feel good, or I would say that, or it just, feel like it doesn't sit very well. So you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to cut out gluten. And then I'm going to cut out dairy. And now I'm cutting out cruciferous vegetables. If you feel like there's lots of foods, you're going down this rabbit hole of all these different foods that you're having to cut out, but but if I don't eat those, I feel great. But if we've added several to that list over time, we probably need to check the gut, because potentially if you heal your gut from the imbalance, you can reintroduce a lot of these foods that you may enjoy.
A healthy gut is more able to accept different things.
Yeah. And so when it is imbalanced, it's typically more inflamed. So you have more inflammation. You have that inflammation, and then you're, and like I said, the common ones our gut can react to. I would say the top 2 are going to be dairy and gluten. That doesn't mean that, but when there is imbalance, those are 2 of the ones I see the most of not being able to tolerate. And then there can be other ones. And sometimes it's eggs. It could be pineapples. It could be anything. And so I've had a lot of people through the years. Early on in my career, I used to send people for food sensitivity tests before I knew as much as I do about the gut now. But I was like, oh, let's do a sensitivity test. Well, their gut's imbalance is coming out with all these red foods.
Because of their imbalance.
Because they're imbalanced. And so now, that's not to say I never do food sensitivity tests, but I will start with a GI map because if we can heal the microbiome and rebalance the microbiome, then a lot of times they can reintroduce a lot of these foods. And so that's, then if we've healed the gut, or the gut looks beautiful or whatever, then sure, there might still be foods that you're sensitive to. That's possible. But a lot of times sensitivities come from a bigger root issue.
Okay. And then number 6 is this overly full with a regular portion.
Yeah. So, or even overly tired, but yeah. So let's just say you had a yogurt and you're just like, ooh, I just feel like I ate a lot.
Yeah.
Or overly tired after you eat a food. That usually is a sign of imbalance. Or in general, just all foods. You just feel like you have a small portion and you're like, you're not able to eat more than 1,000 calories a day or something. Or just not hungry. And let's say you're trying, you're making a meal. I'm not saying that people who forget or stressed or something, but you make a meal and you're just like, yeah, that's really all I have room for. Well, that to me is a sign that our gut's imbalanced. You should be able to eat your maintenance calories relatively easily.
Right.
Your body should want that. Just to go on that, so maintenance calories are calories that your body needs to stay at the health and weight and for your organs and body to work optimally. So for your heart and lungs and digestion to work optimally, for you to have energy, for your brain to have energy, and for you to maintain your weight where it is.
Is that the resting metabolic rate?
I think, you think BMR. Typically, actually, your BMR is what you need. That's your lowest amount of calories your body needs to work optimally, but that might be closer to a deficit. That might be you could lose weight on that, but it's a lower, but it's the lowest amount for you to work optimally and not be sacrificing the health of your organs.
Yeah, okay.
Which digestion is one of the first to go. So let's just say you're eating below your BMR. So I'm just making this up. Let's just say your BMR is 1,500, which is probably more, but I'm just saying, let's just say it's 1,500. and you're eating 1,000 calories a day, well, your body's going to sacrifice something. And typically, like, digestion is one of the first ones to go. So I will say, let's just, and also it'll probably create imbalance in your gut. But that's one of the things that's going to slow down, because your body's protecting itself. It's like, okay, we need the heart to have enough. We need your brain to have enough. So it's going to send the calories to the more important organs, basically. But generally speaking, yeah, if you feel like you're trying and you're like, oh, I just like, my body doesn't need very much. Well, your body should want, your body should want enough calories to maintain where it is, assuming that you're at a, relatively healthy weight.
Yep. That's our second list.
Yeah.
Our second list.
Check and check. Technically our third, because we snuck one in there.
Yeah, you snuck a list in. But yeah, that's our third list. Second, whatever.
Yeah.
And that was indicators of gut imbalance being gas and bloating, diarrhea and constipation, brain fog / depression, anxiety, kind of emotional fallout from that you're experiencing, skin issues, food sensitivities, and overly full with normal portions, or overly fatigued with normal portions.
Yeah.
That's our second one.
I love it.
And then our list within a list, which were things that can throw your body out of balance, your gut out of balance.
Yeah.
And that was stress, antibiotics.
Yeah. So I'll rewind and then I'll name them. I was going to say it's often things that, so when I talked earlier about protections, so I talked about those cell junctions. These are things that can open up those cell junctions so bigger molecules come, or can influence that mucosal layer.
Okay.
Right. So stress, antibiotic use, poor diet, high toxin load, and medical conditions.
Yep. That was the other list. Now we're going on to list 4.
Oh, we have another one?
Well, it's Ashley's colon detox. The things that the protocol that you have your clients go through to help their colon.
Yeah. Well, so I think I call it a detox. So I'll kind of couple this with a little bit what we had talked about earlier. Is there are lots of cleanses and detox and protocols out there. I mean, there's juice cleanses, and there's colon cleanses,
the
and
master cleanse,
parasite cleanses. There's master cleanse. There's
teas.
I mean, you name it, you can find it. There's like what the cabbage and what's that? That was like a cabbage diet or something cleanse. I don't even know.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's lots and lots and lots and lots. And I am not here to badmouth. I know that people have success on some of those, but that doesn't mean that I don't have opinions. And so I generally, and I've worked alongside people who are like detox and cleanse gurus and have had a lot of success with clients with a lot of these. However, I will say my philosophy is, if you can help this particular one, kind of serves, I'll say, 2 to 3 purposes. One is detox. So I call it my detox. So it is to help reduce our toxin load, that there might have been some buildup over time. 2, it's kind of a glorified elimination diet. So it helps us kind of discover if we are sensitive to some of those key main things. So I was like gluten, dairy, eggs, stuff like that. And what was my third? Third is to help more of a liver detox. So it like help open up your liver pathways. So those are kind of the 3 purposes I use it for. And so oftentimes, let's just say I do have somebody who is trying to lose weight or be healthy. Well, I'll say lose weight. Having somebody trying to lose weight. And let's say they've lost some weight and they have like that last 5 pounds that like, they're still doing everything right and they're kind of stuck on that last 5 pounds. Well, I'm like, well, this might be a really good entrance at the end to see if there's any like toxins that are kind of hindering that last little bit, or we just need to open up the liver pathway or something just to like help our pathways flow better.
Okay.
So I like this one because you eat food. I'm not a huge fan, just personally, I'm not a huge fan of, especially long cleanses where you're just juicing. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm not saying they're bad, right? But like my personal philosophy is, if you can do some sort of detox with food, and that doesn't mean that I'm against like fasts, right? Like I actually think, a fast of, 24 to 72 hours can be really helpful for the body. And I think we talked about
I've
that
been
last
doing
time.
fast.
So,
Yeah.
But I don't like going over 72 hours. I think it's not as good for the body personally.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So 24 to 72 hours, like fast can be good. So I don't mean something like that. That in my mind is different than like taking something for a cleanse.
Right.
So that's different. But in terms of taking something, or just like I said, if you're trying to get rid of toxins, and open up your liver pathways and stuff like that, then I like this one because you eat food. So you eat food during it. I do have a kind of supplement pack that I do that helps support the liver and helps support the detoxification pathways. And then there's the diet piece. So it's basically, like I said, it's a glorified elimination diet that you eat like uber clean for 2 weeks. So while you're doing these herbs,
Duration is 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
A fortnight.
Yes.
14 days.
Yes. And you take these herbs throughout the whole thing. No alcohol, no caffeine. Reasons being, alcohol is a toxin. We're trying to get rid of toxins.
Yeah.
So like we're adding toxin to it. That's not helpful. Caffeine can speed it up, especially since we're utilizing herbs to help speed up the detoxification pathways. We don't want to do it too fast mostly because people will just feel yucky. So if we do it too fast, then caffeine will speed it up. Understandably, it's a speed sort of thing, right?
Okay.
And so no alcohol, no caffeine. Eating everything organic if you can afford it for 2 weeks. Everything organic, like just super lowering pesticide and toxin load.
Yep.
Homemade everything. We don't eat out if you can help it.
You're going Michael Pollan.
Yeah.
Full on Michael Pollan. I remember getting his little book. It was like, there needs to be less than like 5 ingredients. Yep. You need to be able to pronounce them all.
Yeah.
They should be in your kitchen.
Yeah.
Right.
And so during this detox, nothing out of a package, right? Like
Yeah.
you're eating whatever.
Whole fruits and vegetables.
Chicken and broccoli and, whatever. Potatoes or whatever.
No processed food is what it sounds like.
Nothing processed, whole foods, and you're making it. So
Yeah.
during the 2 weeks, you can do anything for 2 weeks. You can.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
And then so there's all that. And then I take out highly reactive foods. So even if you're like, oh, I totally tolerate eggs, we're going to cut it out.
You take out eggs?
So we take out eggs, dairy, gluten, shellfish, pork, soy.
You take out pork and soy.
Yeah. So pork can be harder for the body to digest. So we're trying to like help out the whole intestine process here. Shellfish is another one that people can be sensitive to. Soy, gluten, dairy, eggs are other just highly sensitive foods. And then I typically don't have to, depends on people's goals, but I typically, I have a lot of clients who are trying to lose some weight. So I also take out like high glycemic food. So we, take out really high sugar fruits. Nothing out of a can because of toxins out of can. So
no
fresh
juice,
everything.
No juice.
And I actually take out nuts and seeds during the first week. We take out actually all grains during the first week. So and I typically take out animal proteins through the first week. So the first week you can do fish and beans for your protein. Anyway, it's real specific. I have it all laid out of like approved and unapproved foods.
Dang.
And then we like introduce certain foods along the way. And then at the end, then we one by one introduce those like highly sensitive foods. And sometimes people have been eating eggs every day of their life. They do this cleanse and then they eat eggs and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm having massive headaches. I'm like bloated. I'm all these things. Well, like
because they're so clean, then you reintroduce it.
Like
your body's like ready to give you an indicator.
For sure. And that doesn't always mean that they will never be able to have eggs again. It might be they have a gut imbalance. So it might mean we need to like do a GI map. It might mean we just need to heal that gut barrier. And so then they're sensitive, we pull it back out, and then we work on that gut barrier and seeing if we can heal the gut to see if they can reintroduce it.
Is gut barrier synonymous with mucosal layer?
Yes, for this purpose, yes.
There's more than just the mucosal layer.
Correct.
But yeah.
The mucosal layer is a piece of it. The cell junctions are a piece of it. But I think of gut barrier as being like all of that as a whole.
Okay,
right?
okay.
So yeah. The wall protection of protecting the inside from the outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what else is in a part of the detox?
I mean, that's mostly it. We introduce foods
There's
as we go.
herbs?
Yeah, so there are herbs that help support, like milk thistle is one of them. There's several. It's like a bunch of herbs that that help support the detoxification. Tons and tons and tons of water. I have people make sure if they can do massages and saunas and stuff to like help
skin
flush
scraping
out.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
if you can do dry brushing,
cupping,
and
those hot
anything that can
cups.
help. Yeah. Anything that help detox the body, lymphatic massages, and yeah.
And the process there's 2 weeks for this dietary thing, but then after those 2 weeks, there's probably another cycle where they are reintroducing things,
Right.
and you wouldn't want to reintroduce everything all at once,
Correct.
right?
Correct. So yeah, at the end of so we do introduce some foods, not the highly sensitive foods, but like I said, like nuts and is one, and then animal proteins is another, and so we kind of introduce those slowly across the 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then at the end of the 2 weeks, yeah. So then we'll say, I always let people pick, like, what's your favorite thing that we took out? Like eggs, gluten, dairy, soy.
Yeah.
What's the one you want the most? All right, well, let's try that one first.
Let's figure out if that's
So we
good
try
for
that
you.
one first, and typically, I usually do 2 days. Typically, you'll know within 2 days. So let's say you start one on Monday, and then there's several things you look for. So I have people look for, of course, gas and bloating. Do you have gas and bloating? Do you have like immediate diarrhea, constipation? Headaches are a big one.
We look at those indicators, that other list.
Yeah. I think the only other thing that I didn't mention there was headaches. But yeah, other than that, then you go through, are you feeling overly full with a little bit of food? So you had like a scrambled egg, you feel really full, or you feel really tired after eating it, like a thing of yogurt, same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Does it give you headaches? Does it give you severe brain fog? That's always tell people, like, if you're like, do I have brain fog or don't I have brain fog? That's not what I mean. I mean,
know.
like, walk out the door and you're like, I have no idea where I'm going. Like, what am I getting in my car for?
Yeah.
Like whatever. So then we look for those things. And then if you are sensitive, then we take it back out. But typically 2 days for each new one. Yeah.
So the whole process could take, a month?
Yeah, or less. I would say 3 weeks typically. I mean, 2 weeks for the intensive, and then like add another week to introduce those 4 things typically.
So if you guys want to do Ashley Eaves detox, we'll have places where they can get in touch with you.
Yeah,
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, I've done it several times. I think it's great.
You have?
Yeah,
Do you do it regularly?
So typically about every 6 months.
You do it twice a year.
Yeah. Wow. And I would say, I think that like helping that toxin load is good. It also just like usually feels good. Typically the first week is hard and you're kind of fatigued. So what happens is, especially with the herbs, our typically toxins sit in our fat cells. And so we are pulling the toxins out of our fat cells and into our bloodstream. So those first, typically 3 days, but I'll say the first week, but typically the first 3 days, you're feeling kind of yucky, but non-specific yucky, like kind of like you're about to get sick, but no specific symptoms, or you're kind of fatigued, or just kind of feel kind of yucky, because we're pulling all your toxins into your bloodstream. And so you're feeling all the effects of the toxin. So all of them are reason you want tons and tons of water or a sauna or a massage or anything to help get those toxins out, because we need to excrete them through sweat, bowels, urination. And so typically people are like, kind of like, oh, those first 3 to 5 days. And typically most people feel great the second week.
Yeah.
Especially by the end of the 2 weeks, just like energetic and brains working and they're sleeping better. And anyway, yeah.
There's a lot of benefit to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. That's your detox protocol. This section is where Phil fails at enrolling his audience to help fund a GI track.
Yes, a GI map. Yes.
A GI map. So we're going to tell you the benefit of a GI map and why it'd be great for us to have that for our discussions. We'll talk a little bit about the cost of it. And yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
So buy Phil a GI map. It doesn't have
Do
to
it,
be
and
one
I'll
of you.
review it on camera.
Yeah, she'll review the GI map on camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is a GI map important? Why would be helpful?
Yes. So, like I said, I have not done GI maps forever, and I now love them.
You love
them. I love them. It gives me such great insight for a client for why they're not burning fat, why they have skin issues, why they don't feel good, and why they're not detoxing well. It can even influence like autoimmune diseases and And I mean, there's so much that your gut can influence. So, like I said, I would give one to everyone. Seriously, I'd give one to everyone, but specifically all my clients if I could.
Yeah.
Again, they can be pricey, and so that's not always available to everybody. But what it looks at, so it looks at pathogens. So Giardia, Salmonella, Shigella, stuff like that. So it looks at pathogens. It looks at viral pathogens. It'll also look at so like temporary, pathogens that you could have, like adenovirus or something, right? But that's not a big section. So it looks at pathogens, it looks at your healthy bacteria, your commensal bacteria, and it also looks at how balanced they are. So we know if, we have some lactobacillus, but it's really low, or we have some Akkermansia, but it's really high, or whatever. And each of those tell me something. So I can look at them and talk through, like, okay, this is low, this can look like this, and this is high, and this can look like this, but we want them all to be balanced. So it looks at our healthy bacteria and how balanced they are. And like I said, that tells me something. And then it looks at opportunistic bacteria. So these are bacteria that we don't necessarily need, but we don't want them overgrown. There's a couple that are beneficial at a low level, but we don't want them overgrown. And so this looks at levels of these bacteria and if they're overgrown. And so if they're overgrown, that is classic dysbiosis, so an imbalance of bacteria.
Yeah.
You can also have, just to back up on those commensals, you can also have like really bottomed out healthy bacteria, just like not enough of it, which is another form of dysbiosis. It's insufficiency dysbiosis. So it looks at bacteria, it looks at parasites, it looks at worms. It looks at intestinal health markers. So it looks at steatocrit to see how well you're digesting fat. It looks at elastase to see your digestive enzymes and how your body's breaking up your food. So both of those are digestion markers. It looks at beta-glucuronidase, which is something that really helps me see how well your body is processing toxins and hormones. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot more that goes into that. It looks at your secretory IgA. So these are your immunoglobulins that its job is to protect the inside from the outside. So these are your defense. It looks at that. It looks at anti-gliadin IgA. So if your body is producing antibodies to gluten, it looks at that. It can look at zonulin, basically tells you whether you have leaky gut or not. So anyway, and it looks at calprotectin. So that's an inflammation marker in the gut. This can tell me a lot of things. It can tell me a lot of things that how you eat, your stress level, how your body's processing food.
Wow.
It can explain to me why you're having diarrhea or constipation. It can explain to me why you're bloated after every meal. It can explain to me why you're feeling anxious when you've never been an anxious person. Like, it can tell me so much about a person and can highly influence, like I said, all those things, your skin, your brain, how well you're digesting food, what you can eat, whether you have an autoimmune disease or whether it's being managed well. And so, like, just such great
Y'all want to
benefits.
know this about me. Y'all want to know this?
Go fund me.
Go
fund him.
Yeah, we're going to go fund me to get this GI map. Or if you've got a GI map company, I'll partner with, I reached out to a couple of them thinking like, hey guys, just why don't y'all pay for me to get this GI map and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll kind of like celebrate the company.
I love that.
Yeah.
My favorite, there are a few out there, but my favorite is Diagnostic Solutions.
Diagnostic Solutions. I'll reach out to them. So if you work at Diagnostic Solutions or you know someone that works at Diagnostic Solutions, reach out to me or get us in touch.
Yeah.
Because this could be a win-win situation, right? We look at my gut, I get some value. You get to show your expertise at reading these and giving diagnoses and prescriptions, and the people get to see the value of it. So and have awareness of these companies that are out there that are providing these.
Yeah.
So I think this could be a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely. I like it.
And I could even take a picture of my poop and we could put that up on the screen. I don't know that we'll do that, but
Tell him
no.
we don't need it.
We don't need that. That's funny. So that's the part where
I do sometimes have clients do that, and I'm always like, I don't think I needed that.
You
could have
told me about
described
that. Where you got the poop pic.
Yeah.
And you're like,
And from the most unsuspecting client, you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
yeah. Okay.
Like,
Delete.
Yeah. I think there's some other ways we could have described that.
Well, you've been like, oh, that's a pretty poop you got there, because you gotta keep
beautiful.
You gotta keep your client relations, right? So you're like, that's a beautiful poop you got.
So proud of you.
Such a good pooper. Oh my God. All right. Well, that's all I had on us for the gut health part.
I love it.
We have about 20 minutes. We just do this every time. We talk so much about
I love it.
all the cool stuff. So now we're going to talk about your life story a little bit. Not as much as I'd want to, but
it's okay. We can touch on it.
Yeah, we'll touch on that. We can learn it over time too, because we're going to keep
Spread it
talking to
out.
Ashley.
Yeah, we'll spread
We're
it
going to
out.
keep having her on. Where were you born?
Shreveport, Louisiana.
Shreveport? You're a Louisiana lady?
I'm a Louisiana girl.
Yeah. Shreveport. And what was your family like that you were born into?
You know, I always tell people I had a partridge in a pear tree kind of Swiss Family Robinson family, and it's just like I had a great growing up life, and I mean I did. It was just like
how many
a close
kids in the family? How many kids?
Two. I have one older sister.
2 kids, 2 daughters,
2 girls, a mom and a dad. My mom's a pastor, retired at this point. My dad owned a small business, and he's also a musician. And
your mom was in the religion business.
Yeah.
So did you get in a lot of trouble?
No, yeah, for being a PK.
What's
Not
PK?
A preacher's kid.
Yeah, preacher's kid. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was a pretty good kid. I mean, I probably pushed limits more than my sister, but no, I was a pretty good kid. And like I said, like it was good. You know, we went to church and played sports and camped and sang music.
What was the church? What's the church down there?
Methodist. So we, United Methodist is a church I grew up in.
What is Methodist? I don't know all the different Christian things or what differentiates them.
I
Methodists are those one that can drink or not drink?
I don't know that drinking's a thing one way or the other. So people do.
They're agnostic.
Yeah. So I mean, this is probably not how my mother would describe it, but
look out, Mom.
No, and I'm probably not the best theologian to like go down this path. But my general thought is, it's Christian, it's Protestant. Methodist, I've always joked and said it's like the easiest of the Protestants. They're the most laid back.
Cool.
Right? Like that's how I think of them.
That sounds like a Louisiana religion, you know?
Not a lot of and not to say that they don't have their things, but I don't think of like a lot of like hard, fast rules, And so like there's some contemporary services, there's some traditional services, there's some, new and old hymns, and there's,
But you were going to church.
Anybody's welcome. And so,
you were going on Wednesdays and on Sundays. You dressed up in your fine clothes.
Or not, show up in jeans,
Come as you are.
Yeah. And so, I sang in the choir, and then we moved to the contemporary service and played in the band. And
you played in the band?
Or sang sometimes. Yeah.
Your folks never got divorced.
Nope, they're still married.
To this day, they're still married.
Yeah.
And what'd you get into? What kind of childhood did you have?
Oh, I mean, a beautiful childhood. I was in a lot of sports, and like I said, like I said, my dad's a musician, so there was lots of singing, but I did. I was a pretty big swimmer as a kid.
You're a swimmer.
But I did swimming and soccer were probably my main two. But I did a lot. I played basketball, played softball. I loved all of it.
They got you into movement,
and so I just loved it. I loved it. I ran a lot. I was a runner just for fun.
Just for fun.
I would wake up in the morning and I'd go, on a long run, and then come wake up my sister. I'd like jump on her bed. Good morning.
You were up early with a lot of energy.
And she was like, "Come on," hit me and tell me to go away. But yeah, I mean, it was great. My sister and I we grew up opposites. She was the bookworm and piano player, and I was the just high energy sports kid. But it was great.
Yeah,
No complaints.
And where'd you go to college? What did you do after?
I went to undergraduate in Trinity University in San Antonio.
Okay.
So small liberal arts school.
What took you away from Louisiana?
I wanted to live. I wanted
an
to
adventure.
Explore. Yeah.
And
I always knew that I would go somewhere else.
Did you leave for school or did you leave for something else?
Yeah, I left for school. Yep.
Okay.
And I always knew that I was going to go somewhere else just because I wanted to experience the world. And so I always knew. And same with my sister, we both left. And so I always knew I wanted to go. And so I ended up, and I wanted a smaller liberal arts school because I wanted to know my peers. And, I thought, so I went there because I think it was like 75% intramurals or whatever, like participation in intramurals. And I wanted a athletic. And I also liked that, San Antonio was sunshiny. I love the sunshine. So anyway, I went there. I initially thought I wanted to do physical therapy. That's what I thought I was going to go to school for. And then to be honest, I don't even remember why, but I went to a physical therapist for something. I couldn't even tell you what body part or why, but I went to a physical therapist for something. It's wild that I can't remember that. And I thought it was the most boring experience. I walk in, the physical therapist gave me like 10 movements to do and then just disappeared. And then, I was thinking, what was that? Oh my gosh. What was that movie with, I can't even think of his name, but it was like this rehab guy. He he was this mean like CEO, and he was held by gunpoint and he got shot, and then he had to go to rehab, and he was like now this nice guy. Why can't I think of? Doesn't matter. That movie.
You thought that rehab would make a bad CEO a good guy?
No. Beside the point. There's whatever movie that is with Harrison Ford.
The Fugitive.
No, I think it was Harrison Ford.
If you guys know what movie Ashley's talking about, I'm gonna let her churn on this for about one more minute.
No, it doesn't matter. Long story short, he had to go to physical therapy, and you always see these
that's
movies.
Why you
and
wanted
the physical
to be PT?
therapist was this so cool. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, and it was also in the movement world. And anyway, I went to one for something, whatever it was. And it was the most boring experience. And even the guy told me, he's like, I just mostly like push paper. And I was like, well, that sounds terrible. So I was like, scratch that. So long story short, I got a business degree. Business marketing was my degree.
Yeah.
So that was undergraduate. But I will say I was a little bit of a wild child freshman year.
No way. You were wild?
This is where the PK came out.
Oh, my God. Before we get into the wild one, I want to do a flash round of questions. Okay. What was your first job?
First job was lifeguarding.
You were a lifeguard. Mm-hmm. You were helping people at a pool. What was your first?
Probably babysitting before that, but like job was lifeguarding.
Oh, you sat first, but the first time you had like a W-2, it was lifeguarding. Mm-hmm. You did all that babysitting under the table. Your first concert?
It was like a Christian concert, Grace. I can't remember.
Your first like popular culture concert?
Dave Matthews.
You saw Dave Matthews.
I was a big Dave Matthews fan.
You were?
Yeah, I've seen him lots, but especially high school, I probably saw him 10 times.
Yeah. I like Dave Matthews.
Yeah.
He's a good guitar player and a great band, that sax player.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He woke up in the morning. Yeah. That's what you did. You woke up in the morning.
That's right.
And what were you saying?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, I was just saying that I think, like I said, like especially my mom being a pastor, I think like my first like one as a young kid was some like Christian band that I couldn't tell you. But yeah, Dave Matthews was
your first like your choice, like popular band. Yeah. That is awesome. That's a good one. What is your earliest memory? Earliest human memory.
Yeah. So sorry for this brief tangent here, but on that, that our memories come from the last time you told the story, right?
Oh.
And so if you have a memory, then you tell a story or whatever. So I think when you think of earliest memory, it's hard to know because like my parents have told so many stories of being young. Like, do I actually remember that?
Yes.
Or is it me remembering the story that they told and or like the VHS of like them, recording things?
That makes sense.
But I would say, just like off cuff, I would say it's just like sitting at Christmas at grandma's house. It was such an experience of like all the family, like cousins and grandparents. And that's what I think of.
A big holiday event.
Or like climbing a tree. Camping's another one. We camped a lot as kids, like lots and lots. Like just like the four of us, sometimes with other families, but like tons.
You camped a lot?
Camped a lot. Like hiking, tent camping, and then to pop-up camping. But we camped a lot. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You love that?
Love it. still. Yeah, absolutely.
That does sound fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question. Did you get in trouble when you were a kid, and when, or what were you doing?
Sure. Yeah. I did. I think mostly, my sister always said she was the angel of the family. So she didn't break the rules very often. And so she didn't pave any way for me.
Yeah.
And so if I wanted to stay out late or whatever,
You sneak out?
I didn't sneak out, but I might fib about where I was going. So I'm like, I'm spending the night at Emily's house, and I might go to like a party with guys and girls or something.
And girls.
And then,
oh no.
And then, I might still spend the night at Emily's house or not. I don't know, like, so.
And you get caught?
But I got caught in a lie, like saying that I spent the night at somebody's house. And what happened was I said I was spending the night at somebody's house, and my mom ran into her mom at the grocery store like the Monday after or something.
Ooh, busted.
And it's, relatively small town at the time. And she's like, oh, thank you so much for letting Ashley spend the night. And she's like, Ashley didn't spend the night. And so then, and I was not a big liar, I wasn't. I was a pretty good kid, but every now and then I wanted to have some fun. And I had a lot of friends who had really easygoing parents or parents that didn't care, which of course at the time I thought was cool,
Yeah.
And I was like, I want those parents. And my parents were like they're really good parents. They were and are.
They cared about you and wanted you to be safe.
Wanted me to be safe. But at the time I felt suffocated.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, not fully, but I want to go out.
Let
and
me
have
party.
fun. Let me experiment.
Let me get wild.
Let me get crazy and stay up late and whatever. So my sister never had a curfew. I had a curfew because I always pushed those limits.
Yeah.
But yeah, this particular time, then I got confronted with it. And I lied again. We just didn't see her, whatever. Which is a terrible idea to dig a hole.
Oh, you digging holes.
And then, and so, but like I said, I was a pretty good kid. And so then, but me lying and then lying on top of that and getting caught in it.
What'd you get? What was the punishment?
The funny thing is that I don't remember I'm sure I was like grounded or like got my car taken away or something. But what I remember was my parents telling me that I'd lost their trust. And that was the most impactful. And that was heavy for me, which is funny because I feel like, I don't know if my kids would care if I said that. I mean, I hope they would. But I remember that being a really big deal. Like them saying, like, I don't know if we can trust anything that comes out of your mouth. And I was heavy.
That is heavy.
Yeah.
Trust is important.
Yeah.
Did you get spanked ever?
No, like once or twice. I remember my mom spanked me once, and I was a terrible kid and looked at her and said, "You promised you'd never hit me."
Oh my God.
It made her feel really bad. But no, that, honestly, they didn't have to. I feel like my sister and I both, I think about this with my kids a lot because especially my dad, he could say, jump, and I'd say how high or whatever, go to your room. Yes, sir. And that was not a big question for the most part. I listened to my parents and so I don't know. It's so interesting. I feel like this day and age, there's so much more pushback of, I don't know, just from kids in general. It's just like, let me be myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you do anything with one of your parents that was like y'all's thing that gave you opportunities to bond together and share experiences?
Yeah, I think a lot about. So I mean, both of my parents offer different things, but obviously, my mom was and still is probably more of the day-to-day emotional support, right?
Okay.
I'm sick, she takes care of me. I'm having a hard time, I can talk through it, that sort of thing. And I would say a little bit like classic mother, but I felt cared for and taken care of on this sort of basis. I thought of my dad more in experiences. So with sports, for sure bonded over that and training for these things or teaching me to drive a stick and or musical things and singing harmony and stuff like that. Or even in terms of my fear around things, I think about my dad a lot. Like I said, we camped and hiked and stuff, but I can remember as a kid a very specific moment of climbing a tree. And I want to say my dad was actually in front of me or above me. And I got to a place where I'm like, I can't reach it. And I don't know if that was the exact experience, but I can't do this that. I'm scared, I can't do it. And he was like, yeah, you can. And did no question. And that point in my life, and I think this is true for a lot of kids, like you see yourself how your parents see you, like, because that's you're believing what you're told to believe kind of sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I trusted him more than I trust myself, basically. I say it lightly, but like, I was like, oh, Dad says I can, so I can. And then I did. And so like, I thought of him as very empowering in terms of like, yeah, you can. Like, and so, yeah, that's kind of how I see both of them. And I would say that still, like, Dad's more like specific experiences or like cars, car trouble, I call my dad, right? But yeah, and Mom's more like kind of day-to-day, like emotional support sort of thing. So.
Heck yeah. What were the big events in your life? Either like from your kind of childhood and then into your more adult life?
Yeah. For first, like really, well, I'll give a few. My dad was in a really bad car accident when I was in second grade.
Really?
And that was really impactful. He was basically avoiding a wreck, but ended up getting in a wreck by avoiding another one.
Yeah.
And he went through a really hard time. He's, like I mentioned, as a musician, his seatbelt cut his vocal cords.
Was he a singer?
And yes, and is he healed from it, but he fell into some depression and had to, his body had to recover. But that was really scary because he was in pretty bad shape right after. And so that was really impactful just in general, but also for wearing seatbelts, because if he had not been wearing a seatbelt, he probably wouldn't be alive. And so that for me was like you always wear your seatbelt.
Seatbelts, yeah.
And then I was in a really bad car wreck when I was 15. I was not driving. I was in the passenger seat. And it was raining, and the girl who was driving hydroplaned and went airborne over the median. We hit a light pole.
Ooh.
The light pole came in my side of the door and ended up 4 inches from the console.
What?
And we knocked down the light pole, and then we ended up in the opposite lane of traffic and got hit head on by another car.
Oh my God.
And so super bad car wreck. I actually was sitting just like this in the seat, and it crushed my left foot because that light pole came in here. And they said if I'd had my legs down, I would have lost my legs.
Oh my God.
Which is also like crazy. And then my head flew into her arm. I keep hitting this, I'm sorry. And snapped her humerus in half. My head did. So my head split open. Her humerus split. It collapsed her lung.
Oh my God.
So anyway, all that said, I was out of school for a while.
It took you a while to recover from that.
Oh yeah. It was very, very impactful. And also also for like my parents' support through that. But I was a soccer player. I had to have surgery on my foot.
You couldn't play sports for a while.
I was on crutches for a while. I was on a boot for a while. But also it was super, it was just like my body, it was a lot on my body. So that was really impactful.
Yeah.
And then college in general, because I had to like explore my freedom and find myself, and not that, I went a little crazy. That actually kind of lends a little bit to my story in general, because I loved it. I loved meeting new people and new experience and living different place and the freedom. And so, I pushed that limit, mostly in terms of just alcohol, right? Just like going and having fun that way, but also probably in food some too. I don't think in any like mass respect, but like, I was drinking more and eating like new foods and whatever.
Queso. Yeah.
And so I gained that classic freshman 15 or 20 or whatever it was. And then I moved to Spain, fall of junior year. I went and studied abroad.
Oh, wow.
And also was kind of like, that was my kickoff of like kind of re-tapping into my body. I was like in Spain, and so I was running and also walking a lot and eating just more clean, and I was loving that. And I traveled I saved up all this money because I'd been working as long as I can remember since 15 and just saving money. And I was like, if I spend every dime I have, I don't care, because I don't know if I'll have this sort of experience again.
Where were you in Spain?
And so Sevilla.
Sevilla.
So I was living in Sevilla, going to school in a fully Spanish-speaking university.
You're getting your minor in Spanish
class.
or something?
I didn't. I thought about it, but I didn't. I did my minor in from communications.
Anyway, you
but it doesn't
had
matter.
this Spanish experience.
But I went to business classes in Spanish and in Spain, and every weekend I traveled. I traveled to Ireland and France and Italy and everywhere, and so I went everywhere. But I got mugged the second day I was there.
No way.
And second
In
day
Spain?
in Spain, and the funny
By
thing
gunpoint or
is-
knife point or what?
No,
Or just they used a gruff voice?
So they stole my purse. So I've never been a purse wearer. I've never carried one because I'm too ADD and I'll set it down somewhere. And so, but my mom had convinced me to
wear a purse?
wear one and across the body, and so I did. I had this purse across the body. I had everything but my passport. I had all my traveler's checks. I had a switchblade. I had, I don't know how I thought that was going to help. I had a phone. I had a digital camera.
Your passport,
cash,
all
and
that.
everything but my passport.
Okay.
Thankfully, the passport was back. I was living with some senora there, and thankfully it was somewhere there. So Anyway, the second day we go out, we go to some bar late at night, it's probably like 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever, like late at night. And we're standing in these circle with these locals, like chatting. And I felt the weight of my purse disappear. Well, they cut it off of me. Well, I turn around and I was like in Spanish, like, where's my purse? Where's my purse? Well, there's this guy standing nose to nose to me, standing right behind me with this like Cheshire grin look on his face. Well, I see another guy hop on a moped with my purse in his hand and fly off. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, I don't have keys to the place I'm living. I don't have a phone to call anybody. It's the second day I'm there. I didn't have anybody's number anyway. I'm like, I had nobody to get in touch with. So I borrowed somebody else's phone and calling card at the time. This is back in the day.
Yeah.
And called my mom and woke her up. And I had left information with them, like of my like bank accounts and credit cards and whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, cancel it all. I'm screaming. I was probably, whatever. And my mom is a saint. I mean, I was screaming and cussing, and I'm like, it's, late at night. I'd been drinking, and I was like super pissed and didn't know what to do. And I wake her out of a dead sleep.
Yeah.
And so like, she's like,
thanks, Mom, by the way.
I love you.
Mother's Day was yesterday. And this is one of the things Ashley appreciates you for.
I did. And instead of like panicking, even though she probably internally was, she was like, breathe.
Yeah.
Are you safe? Are you bleeding? Do you need to go to the hospital?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, cancel the cards. Like, it'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
But what was really cool, anyway, and I ended up sleeping at somebody else's couch. So I got kicked out early the next morning because they were like, out of my house. But anyway, again, this is like back in the day. And so, or me and my parents didn't know any better. So they ordered me, my stuff, but new credit cards and debit cards and whatever, and sent it to me. Snail mail across seas. So it's like weeks, right? Before I get this back. And I had zero money. So I would like borrow 20 euros from like a friend here and there. But for the most part, I just didn't eat a lot.
You just lived off the land?
I went and you could get canned peas that were pop-top. I didn't have a can opener.
Oh my God.
And a thing of like Cheerios. So I bought like a big, thing of Cheerios and canned peas, and I lived off of canned peas and Cheerios for like ever.
Oh my God.
And what's funny is when I came back to the States, I was like, I don't want to see another pea for a long time. But
Cheerios, goodness.
I got new. And at the time, like you couldn't use I couldn't like hand somebody a sheet with a credit card number on it to like pay for tapas or something.
Right.
But I could use it to purchase planes and trains and stuff like that. So I would still travel, and I would travel and then just like eat whatever canned food I could find, or like cereal. And I would just eat off that. Like, I would still travel.
Ashley, you're the second person I've interviewed that got robbed during in international travel.
Yeah.
Mary Richardson Perez just told me when she went to India, she had her purse stolen when she was on one of the buses, or they took all of her money out of her purse, and she was left kind of stranded without her passport, without her money in India.
Yeah. Well,
Goodness.
thankfully I had my passport, but it was like actually a cool experience. I was like, all right, cool. Let's figure out how to like live abroad and broke and still travel. And, and then ultimately I got my cards and, kept traveling or whatever. But I had such crazy experiences. I mean, I slept on park benches and on beaches and had a train catch on fire in Italy. I mean, like,
What?
I had such, like, I ended up starting.
We'll need a whole episode just to learn about your Spanish trip,
I ended up
dude.
starting, because again, back in the day, we didn't, we weren't doing social media and stuff like that. And so I ended up starting this blog, or not a full blog. I ended up starting an email chain that was Ashley's Top 10. So every Sunday I would send an email to family and friends of the top 10 craziest things that happened to me during that week.
Wow.
And I did it for like months on end. And so anyway, I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, I need to go back and see if I can find those.
You should.
It'd be really cool to see.
We're going to see if Ashley can find those and she can share those with you guys.
Yeah.
Last question, because we got about 5 minutes. Is there a time in your life that you remember being the catalyst for what you do now?
Well, that was what I was going to say next. And there were two things. So one, like I said, I'd gained that like freshman 15 or 20, and I didn't I was having so much fun, but suddenly I'm like, I don't love how clothes are fitting. I don't love how I feel. And there was a moment of like, I need to like kind of find who I am and my core values. Because I'd spent the first 2 years kind of like, woo, here I'm at college. What about, like freedom.
Yeah.
And then like by junior year, I'm like, and especially just traveling abroad too, it's really like, you see yourself in this grain of sand in this bigger picture of the world. It was the first time I like really had seen the world from a bigger view. And so that was really my like initial into like back of like kind of, because I grew up relatively healthy, like playing sports and eating relatively healthy and all of that. So that was initially part of that. And then I got back and continued to work on that. So I ended up working really hard at what I was doing exercise wise and food wise. And I probably lost 20 plus pounds. I mean, so by senior year, I was in really good shape, and people kept asking me, what are you doing? And I'm like, diet and exercise. But it led me down this path of because even then it's more saturated now, but like, the market was still saturated with a lot of information. This was the time of like South Beach Diet and Atkins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this right? Is this right? And so I got curious. So I started buying textbooks about nutrition and exercise just for my own benefit. This wasn't about anybody else, but it was for my own benefit. Well, then I graduated. I moved to Nashville. I'll skip over some of those details, but I started working for a marketing firm, which is another fun story about how I got that job. But I was working for this marketing firm because I was my degree was marketing. I basically just like hound them until they gave me a job. But so I started working for this marketing firm, and I'm not really a desk person, but at all.
No.
But I wanted to work in my field and whatever.
Yeah.
Well, long story short, one of my coworkers was a Titans cheerleader. So as a second job, really.
Yeah.
And you may or may not know, but professional cheerleading is a lot like modeling. So every year that they are a cheerleader, they have to weigh in at or below their previous season's weight.
Oh, wow.
Well, a lot of them are really in shape during season, and then they let themselves go in the off season. And this particular girl was like, and I don't remember, she'd been doing it for at least 3 years at that point, maybe more. And she said, I have always lost the weight unhealthily, diuretics and starving myself and all this stuff. And she's like, I need to lose 20 pounds before next season, but I'd like to do it right. And she's like, I noticed that you're really, like into, nutrition and exercise. And I talked about it all the time. I even changed like what they were bringing for like Friday meetings instead of donuts, because I kept bringing my like egg white omelets to eat. And they're like, all right, should we change what we're eating? And everybody's like, yes. And so that was fun too. So anyway, she came to me and was like, I want your help to do this healthfully. And I'm like, cool, I love this. And so she also knew I was a little unhappy working in an office. Like I liked what I did, but every day I'm like, I'm like sitting in traffic. I'm sitting behind a desk. I'm living in traffic or whatever. Anyway, so I wrote her a diet plan, and I'm talking like wrote her this like extensive exercise and nutrition, like what to do and what to not to do.
This was your first client.
It was my first client, but for free. And I walked in Monday morning. I put this like packet on her desk, and she looks at it and she looks at me and she goes, Ashley, why aren't you doing this for a living?
There it is.
And I was like, boom. And I'm like, wait, I can do this for a living?
Yeah.
And she's like, yes. And I literally, no kidding, I walked from from her office to my office, and I wrote a 2-week notice to my boss, and I researched master's programs. And I found a master's programs in nutrition and exercise, applied that day in the moment.
No way.
Put in my 2-week notice, left 2 weeks later, and became a personal trainer and started working at the gym and personal trained while I was getting my master's in nutrition and exercise science.
Dude, we're good. This is part 1 of Ashley's life story because we're at time.
Yeah, no, it's
but
a good stop.
I want to like know more about it. So the next time Ashley comes, we'll like continue and we'll go more into Spanish shenanigans.
Yep.
We'll learn more about the journey from kind of like that first client to where you are now. And we'll find some other things to talk about.
I love it. We always do.
So this has been Phil Phails at Gut Health with Ashley Eaves. She is I'm going back to your thing. She's a functional, right? You're functional. Oh my God, where is it? Right here. Functional nutrition, registered dietitian, personal trainer, and gut specialist. And today, Phil failed at Gut Health.
Woo.
Wave bye to everybody.
Fun. Thank you.
Yeah, she's coming back. So we'll learn more about all this. Give me a hug.
Good.
Oh, you can just move that. Oh, that's so much fun, Ashley.